Hello everyone, and welcome to ADMS 647, Educational Technology for School Leaders. Let me introduce myself a little bit. So, obviously I'm a professor. More specifically, I'm a professor of education. Even more specific than that, I'm a professor of educational leadership. I'm in the Department of Educational Leadership at Virginia Commonwealth University. I'm a full-time member of the faculty of that department. And as you know, VCU is in Richmond, Virginia, along the banks of the James River. Now, I didn't grow up in Richmond, not even in the Commonwealth of Virginia. I'm a New Yorker. That's right, not just a New Yorker, but a Yankees fan, too. I'm a Yankee living in the South, and if that's not bad enough, well, I'm also a big Duke basketball fan. I know that's hard for some of you to swallow, but maybe we can get past that as the semester moves on. So when I'm not watching Yankee games or Duke basketball games, what am I doing? Well, mostly being a father and a husband. And as you see there, those are my two beautiful children, Drew, who's 6.5, and my daughter, Shayna, who's a little bit more than 2 years old now. Spend lots of time with my family, but when I'm not with my family or working, I'm mostly online, developing what we call digital footprint. And that footprint shows up in lots of places. I have my own digital portfolio. I spend a lot of time on Twitter and Facebook, and I also have a blog at edinsanity.com. I spend a lot of time in those spaces. And we're going to spend a lot of time together online this semester as well. And so that probably has you wondering, well, what is this class? Well, educational technology for school leaders, what are we in for this semester? Well, let me try and show you a little bit. So this course has sort of a logic to it, and the logic is around a couple of propositions that lead to a particular premise. And the first proposition has to do with this idea of ubiquitous computing, this notion that we live in a world where computing is everywhere. It's on our porches and patios, it's in the coffee shops, it's at the parks, it's just about everywhere. We're on our computers, we're on our cell phones, we're on our iPads and tablets. It's just the world we live in, a world of really ubiquitous computing. It's not just ubiquitous computing. I would argue, and others have said, that ubiquitous computing affords ubiquitous learning. And what you see here is a picture of a school in India where the kids are working on their laptops, special laptops that cost under a couple $100s to produce as part of the one laptop per child program. It's really symbolic of this notion of ubiquitous learning. And in fact, that's kind of my first proposition. If a proposition is an if statement, then the if statement is really about this notion of ubiquitous computing affording ubiquitous learning. Or as Copen Calansis wrote, ubiquitous learning is a new educational paradigm made possible by the affordances of digital media. Okay, so that's my first proposition that frames the logic of this course. Ubiquitous computing affords ubiquitous learning. But I said there's a second proposition. That proposition is this idea that we can take our old paradigms, our old notions of what schooling, what classrooms look like, as you see in this picture here, and that we can transform them into something different, something maybe like this. So again, that's an if statement, a proposition. Again, can we go from this to this? From this to this? That's a big if. Alright, so, well, then what? I mean, I told you that I had there was a premise here, and I say the premise here is that we have a leadership challenge. Alright, so let's go over that again. So here's my first proposition. If we accept that ubiquitous computing affords ubiquitous learning, and here's my second proposition, if, in fact, we can move or reform the typical or modal schooling organization to embrace that paradigm, then let's consider that a leadership challenge. again, if we accept that ubiquitous computing affords ubiquitous learning, and if we can in fact move our schools from that old paradigm to the new one, well, then that's very much a leadership challenge. And that's what ADMS 647 is about. Educational technology for school leaders. We're going to confront that leadership challenge. So that's the logic underlying the course. That's the propositions and the premise that it leads to. There's also, in addition to the logical framework, I'd say there's kind of a mechanical framework. And so the course is built mechanically, structurally, around what are called the NETS-A, or the National Educational Technology Standards for Administrators, which is a set of standards around what you should know and be able to do as a school leader. And there's another kind of major goal here, if not exactly part of the structure, which is the idea of modeling technology integration. It makes perfect sense to me that a course on technology leadership should be delivered or offered fully online. It also makes sense to me that I should be modeling the technologies that I think ought to be considered for modern schooling organizations, for you all to kind of pick up and see what you can do as aspiring school leaders. And so the second kind of part of the goals here is about me modeling technology integration kind of really in the spirit of possibility. Let me just unpack that a little bit. So here you see the NETS-A, and these are the 5 major standards of the most recent version of the technology standards for administrators. And there are some sub-standards under here, but these are the 5 major standards. And what I've done is I've designed the course in 5 modules. Each module corresponds to one of the major standards that you see here. I've switched the order a little bit, but the basic idea is that we're going to take a look at each of these standards and explore what they mean and engage in some learning activities to really understand what that's about. And so those 5 technology standards for administrators organizationally frame the course. Now, I also said that my second goal, in addition to exploring the NETS-A, was to model technology integration in the spirit of possibility. And isn't this what possibility is all about, the flying pig? So I hope you'll be excited. I hope you're enthusiastic. I hope you're eager to explore what's possible and to really think what it means to be a modern school leader in the modern world. I really look forward to our time this semester, our time together this semester. See you in the cyberspace.